I spoke to Magic, told him what my vision was, and said, God tests great men and great women, and I think you're going to turn lemons into lemonade. I had an overdose in 2007. Paramedics had it came, oxygen mask on my face, in and out of consciousness, and I'm just looking up at the sky, begging God I won't do it again. I just turned 55, and I feel like I'm in my mid-20s. My protocol, I work out 6 days a week, follow the cleanest diet I can, red light therapy. It works.
Would there be anything I should do to prevent the addiction?
I think...
What do you call yourself? Agent?
Agent.
So do you go get them business or you just negotiate their business?
We're actually very assertive. We go out and we find and create a lot of opportunities.
See, then I need an agent. See, to me, that's not an agent. Like that, I mean, to me, that's an agent. There's a lot of agents out there. They want to be your agent. And all they're going to do is say, when anyone goes to you directly, send them to me. And every time someone sends them to you, what's your fee? 10, 20%?
Yeah, somewhere between that.
And when you're dealing with these iconic athletes, dude, that's a chunk of change. That's not chump change because their deals are huge.
Yeah, and they don't want you just sitting back and waiting on phone calls or emails or taking their leads. You know, more than 90% of the opportunities we create at Prince Marketing Group are done by me and my team.
You get the opportunities.
We go out and find the opportunities.
Yeah, you bring the money.
Yep.
I want one. How do I get one? How do people get one? Everybody wants one.
Yeah, it's look, I think I've been that way since I was a teenager, being a young entrepreneur. I'm just very assertive. I never wanted to sit back and just have something handed to me. And, 31 years now as an agent. Magic Johnson was my first client, still is. You got to earn that trust, you got to earn that respect, and you got to hustle. They don't like complacency.
How do I get all your celebrity iconic clients as guests?
I know.
Do they charge for podcasts, or do they just only go on the ones they want?
It's not even a matter of charging. I know you've asked me about David Goggins.
Yeah, I like Goggins. I want to pick his brain.
Yeah, they're just so inundated, man. It's like,
well, he used to run by here every day, and I didn't know you managed him at the time, and I'm just thinking, maybe I should run out there, but the dude's running. I'm not going to do that.
I made a quick intro for you in Salt Lake City, but he's tough. It's all of them. Hulk Hogan's the same way. I mean, Charlie Sheen, Chevy Chase, they're just inundated in the way they look at it. It's like they either really have to have something to promote, or they got to be a big fan of whatever, the topic.
See if Goggins is a fan. Yeah. See, I'm starting to collect some fans. I always, before, would feel a little pretentious saying that, but it is the truth. I go through the airport and, the other day I was
people are stopping you.
All the time, dude. I got stalkers. I do. Female stalkers. Thankfully, I ain't got no men stalkers, but I definitely have some female stalkers. But the other day I was out with Gavin DeGraw. You heard of Gavin DeGraw? I mean, I think everyone has, but I always got to ask because, we're out in the mall and people were coming up to me going, yeah, give me a picture. So I do the picture thing and talk to him a little bit. And then this couple came up and the dude wanted his picture. And then he goes, it's not every day we run into somebody famous. And I'm sitting here with Gavin DeGraw, and they don't know who he is, and he's way more famous than I am. So I said, dude, if you want a picture with someone famous, get a picture with him. And the guy goes, who's that? And I go, you ever heard of Gavin DeGraw? And his wife frickin' started shaking. Oh my God, it's Gavin DeGraw. And I'm like, dude. And I realized, see, I'm on social media, which is what's the new TV. Yep. It's the new broadcasting network, period. Yep. And you see my face, even if you don't know who I am, you just see my face, and I'm recognizable after a while. If I saw you a couple times, maybe nothing. Third time, who is this dude? Yep. Maybe I go boom, and I start to kind of realize that he's known for his voice. He wasn't singing. I wouldn't have been able to pick out Gavin DeGraw in a crowd.
No, me either. But you're also putting out captivating content continuously, and a lot of it's going viral. And you've been at it for years. Life is about consistency, and you've done it with that.
Dude, that's a bomb right there. So listen, you're very humble, and you kind of almost have an air like this is all common knowledge when it isn't. And not only that, you've got your own story.
Yeah.
You got a big old story. Last time we talked about that. So
We're still getting DMs from that interview.
Yeah, go watch the other story because I don't want to. I mean, unless you want to, I don't want to.
I'm happy to go into.
I want to talk about more of the. How'd you get into the agent side? I know one was your buddy, and then how'd you just start collecting the other ones? You must have got a reputation of hard negotiations.
I was actually with your friend Andy Elliott and his wife this morning for breakfast, and I told them the story with Magic. So I was in the sports card and autograph memorabilia business, so I developed relationships with Muhammad Ali, Smoking Joe Frazier, Magic Johnson. We used to book autograph signings for them. And I just had a bigger appetite by the time I was 24, and I spoke to Magic and told him what my vision was. And he knew I was going through some personal struggles at the time and said, God tests great men and great women, and I think you're going to turn lemons into lemonade. He goes, you know what? I love you. I love your family. You're honest. You're a hard worker. I'm going to give you 2 years. But if you don't use those 2 years to knock down every door, utilizing my name, bringing in all the celebrities you can, I'm going to fire you before those 2 years are up, because life isn't how successful I become, Darren. I'm going to be a success in the world of retired athletes and celebrities they've never seen before. It's how successful I can make you and everybody else around me. So when you get there, remember to pay it forward to other people. And that's my life to this day.
That's
personally,
awesome.
Especially with my recovery journey.
Well, then you have to have some sort of philanthropic side to you where you help a brother out, even though you wouldn't normally do it.
Yeah.
See, and I'm a recipient, just be my agent. Get out there and tell everybody, hey, you seen this Brad Lee dude? No, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Do you have to do some of that sometimes, like sell
Yeah,
people?
of course. And especially if any of the clients have had, they're human. They all make mistakes. And when some of it happens in the public eye, they're family at this point. I mean, there's not a phone call that doesn't end with any one of them. Dominic Wilkins called this morning, Carmen Electra, whoever it is, every call ends with, I love you. 90% is about life. So you're personally intertwined in everything about them as an individual. Of course, you want to fight for them if there is any controversy going on at them, or somebody takes a shot at them, or might not consider them. You have to remind them of the good that they've done, what their brand is about, what their legacy is about.
Well, what do you do when you're in a PR position, meaning like there's a PR thing happening? I can't pick one for you guys or for your celebs, but maybe Carmen Electra. Is she one of yours?
Yeah, but I just think a lot of times you just got to ride it out. I think so you don't we're in such a crazy news cycle now that if a celebrity screws up tomorrow, by midnight tonight, there'll be another one that takes over the top story. And I don't think it's, you don't engage into the situation. You kind of let it blow over.
Yeah, but specifically now,
over the years.
I'm saying specifically now, like any of your people, for example, go to Diddy parties, because of the Diddy parties. Oh shit, you didn't want to go there, at least the after party.
Thank God. No, none of them.
Because a lot of them did. Like a big one, what's his name? The famous basketball player. They argue over who's better, him or Jordan. Yeah, LeBron. Yeah, LeBron James, dude. He's supposedly, like, you see all over social media and the media stories. Are they true? Are they not true? Like, how much do you think a lot of the tabloids depict as total bullshit?
I don't believe all of it. No,
but some of it.
Some of it, of course.
Because you've been right in the thick of things down there in Hollywood, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And there's a tabloid story running where people are like, it's the tabloids. But you're going, dude, that shit's true.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Absolutely.
So do you get to like travel with them or what?
Oh yeah. Of course. I do as much as I can. I'm kind of on the road, I'd say probably an average of 5 to 7 days a month. I try to taper back a little bit over the past year. Even though Am always tells me he's never seen somebody travel so much. But, my mental health and my mission in life is everything. 16 and a half years sober, I got to make sure I, at times, selfishly put me first so I could be selfless to help other people. Because a lot of people you and I know
another one
that are suffering with mental health and substance abuse issues. And
when you say you and I know, I don't know who you're referring to.
In general, I mean, think about family, friends, loved ones, people you grew up with. There's not a person that's immune to not knowing somebody that's not suffering with the disease of substance abuse, alcoholism, the opiate epidemic, mental health.
I think it also might be important to realize you might not realize they are, but you know someone.
Yep.
Isn't that even more important?
Hey, I hit it pretty well until the end in 2008. There was a lot of people that looked at my external success, Brad, and they're like, he doesn't have a problem. He's just going through a rough time. They see millions of dollars and the biggest celebrities in the world and highly functioning, but nobody knew behind closed doors I was pretty much suicidal that last year and a half. I didn't want to wake up in the morning.
Why, though?
I got to such a dark place.
But why, though?
I think, I look back, I don't think I spoke up about, feeling less than as a kid. Feeling like a social outcast, growing up in small classrooms, having a severe learning disability, being verbally teased, never feeling comfortable in my skin. So when the first experience happened at sleepaway camp, I was given a liquid by a nurse for stomach pain and having no idea what it was. It was liquid Demerol. My life changed forever. That liquid Demerol made me feel to be the exact person I always wanted to be 24/7. It filled that hole in my soul. It made me super comfortable in my skin, made me feel like Superman, made me feel just as smart as everybody else, just as popular. And then I started a very successful baseball card business in 1984. I was making a few $100,000 a year as a teenager. You're not going to tell me what I can't get my hands on. So I'm going out in the streets. I'm getting wherever I got to get it. And I felt this was the answer. This was the piece of the puzzle.
Well, you better tell them why it wasn't, because after hearing that, it makes me want to go try some liquid Demerol.
It just isn't. I mean, it starts out as fun. And, I had an overdose in the city in 2007 during NBA All-Star Weekend. And that was just horrific. And, I was married at the time. The paramedics they came to the Mirage, and oxygen mask on my face, needles in my arm, EKG machine, and, in and out of consciousness. And I'm just looking up at the sky, begging God, I don't know what the hell I just did. I won't do it again. And I never made it out that night, but the disease of addiction, man. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I looked at myself in the mirror, bloodshot eyes, bags under my eyes. And instead of drinking alcohol, I chose to just snort a couple more Percocets and Tussinex cough syrup, which is an opiate-based cough syrup, and go back into bed. They say the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, doing different results. And it still took me a year after that to find recovery and find God.
But you finally did.
I did it, man. It's not where you're from in life. It's where you're at.
What's the emblem? Sobriety?
The emblem is the insignia for Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, Unity, Recovery, and Service, and the 12-step spiritual fellowship that saved my life, changed my life. But, we spoke about it earlier. I have a wellness routine that's just unprecedented. I mean, I've my protocol right now.
What is it?
It's ice bath, hydrogen water. When Gary Brecka was with 10X, I've been on the 10X program ever since. I do frequency work, grounding mats, grounding pillows, grounding sheets. I'm part of this group, Brain One. It's a new AI app where you can actually work on your brain fitness health, because all we talk about is this type of health. And it allows you to follow different protocols from thought leaders, regular everyday people, influencers, athletes, to work on the noise up here. Because you don't have to be suffering with drugs and alcohol to not be right up here. You and I know a lot of rich people that they're unhappy. And we know a lot of real rich people that are assholes, as the expression goes, because they haven't worked on that trauma. And I do a lot of meditation with my boy Lingerie. I do a lot of breath work. My protocol, it's everything to me. This morning I had a frequency watch on that works on all the underlying root issues. I did that for 30 minutes. I brought my grounding patches with me. I work out 6 days a week. I follow the cleanest diet I can. All this stuff, red light therapy, it works. And, it's not that expensive. It's not like there's an excuse for people.
Well, I mean, it's an excuse for some broke ass people. Let's be honest.
Oh, you can even
red light therapy and all that shit. You got to go to spas. You got to go to these little spots, and they
when you go to the spots, yes, but you can actually get an affordable red light.
Yeah,
you could get grounding sheets.
I always wonder
which
though,
actually takes care of inflammation, makes you sleep better.
Where's the grounding sheets?
I mean, grounding sheets are, it's like earthing.
I know, but where do you get them? I'll get some.
You can go online and just buy them.
Grounding sheets.
Yeah, you could buy them anywhere.
Dude, give me a list of all the things, because I'm not broke and I do want all that shit.
You're at that age now, man. I'm literally.
I'm past that age, Darren.
You're a year older than me. You're 56. I just turned 55, and I feel like I'm in my mid-20s because I stay consistent. You know, I'm disciplined. So it's not just about the healing of the trauma that we all have. Let's face it, healing's an ongoing journey. I've gone back. I've done that inner child work.
No drugs, though. Have you done any like ayahuasca or any?
I never needed to do that. I've done NLP, which is what Tony Robbins does, neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah, that's not drug related.
So no, but you got the right guide, and you got the right healer, and some of that really knows what they're doing. Like Amon was my guy, Landry. I mean, he could take you really deep with sound frequency.
Who? Who'd you say?
I've got my boy. He's like a renowned spiritual healer. Like, in my opinion, he's like a Joe Dispenza type, but on steroids. Damn. And he could take you really deep into meditation, where you can go back into that younger Brad, that teenage Brad, those moments in your life, and really through breath work and connecting with that younger self, when you come out of it an hour or two later, you literally feel like a giant weight has been lifted. And the thought might be there, but there's no more physiological reaction or anxiety or back pain or stress.
And there is physiological.
And I live for that stuff, because I'm like, I didn't just get sober to not drink and, not do drugs. Like, I want to help people. And, I've got my own foundation, the Aiming High Foundation, which is named after my book, my 501c3. We scholarship couple dozen people a year to treatment for mental health and substance abuse. So like, the business part of my life is great. That's all set. But I'm totally more about purpose first over profits, because I think if you focus on purpose in life and helping other people, the other part of life falls into place.
I always say that, and I agree 1,000%.
And I know you're that way too.
Yeah. I'm more, I say relationships over revenue, like
100%.
Like people over profits, money over relationships.
That's been my superpower in business. People ask me, how do you stay with the clients so long? I don't think I'm the greatest agent in the world, but I care. I've got personal relationships with them. It's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, it's holidays, it's birthdays. Hulk Hogan's son got married a few weeks ago. I flew out there for the wedding. I mean, these moments are like everything. If a client's sick, they call me. If they're not feeling well, if I'm going through something in life. I mean, my mom passed away November 3rd. The first 3 calls I got November 4th after I posted something about it, because a lot of people loved my mom. She was an incredible woman. It was Magic Johnson in the morning. David Goggins was in Australia, called me a few hours later, and then Hulk Hogan called. That's not a name-dropping thing. They're like family. They're really good people. You know what I'm saying? We're like boys. We care about each other. We might have came together on business, but so much more came out of it than business.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's... So you're like buddies with those guys. Yeah. Is it like that with all clients? What if you have a client that you don't really feel the same about?
I think there's a handful of agents and managers that I know that somewhat. I do think I've done it very differently. I think I've always cared more about the clients than the deal.
What about Jerry Maguire? He did it, didn't he? Like Tidwell and Maguire.
That was a perfect example. Lee Steinberg, who I know, that was based on his life story. And our boy Dave Melcher used to, be partners with him. And yes, even back then, that was very unusual. How about at the end of that movie when he looked at him and he goes, "How come we don't have that type of relationship?" And Jay Moore, actually, who played the other agent, went to hug his guy. I don't think it happens.
Then he made it all awkward.
Yeah, but I don't think it's as an agent either. I just say in all levels of business and networking, care more about the person Find out about their family, their likes, their dislikes, their hobbies, their activities, their relationships, brothers, sisters, all that stuff. Instead of this young generation focusing so much on the bag and the money. No, actually care a little bit. Put a little bit of effort into, building a real relationship. And then tell me I'm wrong in a couple years or less when all of a sudden those real relationships start getting monetized.
Real. I like that word. It's my brand.
Yeah.
Real relationships.
Yeah.
Because, I was writing my book, and I think writing books in the beginning are somewhat therapeutic. So I'm writing and I'm trying to basically say, put money over relationships because look what this dude did. And then I realized that I was doing the same thing.
Yep.
And it's easy to do without even knowing you're doing it.
Of course.
But a lot of people are thinking, well, I'm not going to get screwed. And you want me to get this and that? It's like, no, if you're hearing what he's saying just factor the relationship more valuable than the money anyway. And if you think about it, it's also true because if the relationship goes away, the money does too.
Yep.
So if it's a business relationship and you focus on the money and you put the money over the relationship, soon they'll both go away.
Yep.
Because you ignore the relationship, it eventually deteriorates and possibly goes away completely. And if it does, where's the money go? Well, I'm not gonna pay you money every month if I don't like you a little bit.
No.
If I hate your guts, bro, and the relationship is broken, I'm figuring out a way to stop paying you.
You gotta vibe with somebody. I just think it's about like Andy and I were talking about this morning. I think it's that energy and that frequency is so important. And
where'd you see him?
We met at Harrah's for one of the spots for breakfast, him and Jacqueline. And I think I don't know. I just think it's been so overlooked, and it's everything to me. You know how many deals I could have done? That putting myself first, putting my own financial benefit first, it's never been my personality. Because at the end of the day, to me, it doesn't matter if you're worth 50 million or 500 million. You could still do anything you want in life. So maybe you don't own a plane at 50 million, but you could certainly lease one. You could certainly have a timeshare card. I'm about like integrity. It's just so important to me. And, I'm still not perfect. I got to work on myself every day. I still got character defects, but man, it's the best version of myself I've ever created. And I work hard at it every single day. And, putting service first to others is everything in my life. But I won't sacrifice my own well-being. Like I said, it's selfishly sometimes taking time back for you so you can selflessly help other people.
Mainly with like that self-care regimen you have.
It's everything. It's the self-care recovery regimen, but it's also work. I mean, if I'm fried, I had a date in March last year where I had Goggins in Orlando in the morning, and then Magic was speaking for Aspire, the Aspire tour group that night in LA. So I could only stay at Goggins for an hour, and I had to get back on a connecting flight to LA. And I walked in 5 minutes after Magic got on the stage and gave me a big hug when he saw me afterwards. But he could say it. He could say it. And he goes, man, you look tired. I was like, I'm taking the next 3 days off to myself. No work, no nothing. Going for massages, manicure, pedicure, whatever I got to friggin' do. Steam room, sauna. I just know when it's time.
What about a Lindsay Lohan refresh?
I think she's doing good, though, Lindsay Lohan, right?
But have you seen her lately?
No.
Frickin', she looks 24. Yeah, like, you haven't seen the big before and afters of Lindsay Lohan? Like, she was looking like, for a while there, she's getting a little older.
Christina Aguilera, too.
Her, too. But I think she went, like, Ozempic skinny.
The Ozempic. No,
what's her name? Lindsay. Dude.
What about Brad Lee? You freaking trimmed up real nice since I saw you last.
Well, again, Andy Elliott bet me $50,000 that I couldn't get abs in 90 days. So I got abs. Yeah. 90.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you got to have, and I said, listen, bro, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post it on social media, and we're going to ask social media. And if they say I don't have abs, then you win. And if they say I do, then I win.
Yeah.
And then I posted it on social media, and it was 90-10. 10 said I didn't. And 90 said I did. And I did. You could totally see him. I would have fucking died on that sword. I saw him. Now, were they as good as his? I didn't say I'd have shredded 8-pack. I said I'd have a 6-pack and you'd be able to see.
Yeah.
And so I won and he paid and, like he should have.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I got $50K to get in shape. And then, it also makes me realize that, dude, the better shape you're in, the better your mind works.
100%.
So now I'm like, in the habit, it's part of the routine, part of the discipline, and I'm staying there. But I also get caught in, dude, now I want to go get even better. Well, at some point when you start thinking about what to take, pretty soon now you're going across the line of aesthetics versus health.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there's people with an 8-pack shredded that they're not that healthy inside.
Exactly.
Because they're doing this to get it.
Exactly.
And dude, like to me, I'd rather be a little bit pudgy. I'd rather have a little bit right here than just get freaking monster veiny.
Because that other stuff too takes years off your life. It's not even worth it. You're playing Russian roulette.
Or your health, dude. Next thing you know, it caused your freaking prostate to get 10 times bigger. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I just do it as natural as I can do it. Is my point. Because health is the key. It's not the looks, even though it looks good. Now people say, come on, Brad, you ain't on anything. I ain't on anything except one thing. And it's called TRT. So people say, do you do the test?
Yeah. Occasionally.
You don't?
I don't do it all throughout the year. Only because I had some liver enzyme issues from all the opiate abuse. So I just got to watch it. Every once in a while, I got to do a blood dump and I'll do the cream.
Well, we all do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, so
testosterone will thicken your blood. It gets your oil gunky. So people are like, see, that's not good for you. Listen, I don't know what's good for me.
Yeah.
I know that the people that are doing a little replacement, not overdoing it, but just replacement therapy, they feel better, they look better, they're running around like a freaking 30-year-old.
Yep.
They're freaking the evidence shows me that it's good for you.
100%.
That's all I'm doing.
Yep. Agreed.
But the rest of it, like people go, dude, start taking this and you'll get this. And I'm like, dude, no, it's too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
I want health.
It's not needed.
And I'm not really sober as you would call it, only because theoretically I could drink, but I don't.
Mm-hmm. Well, you choose not to.
I just stopped to, Right. I just stopped it. It's like stupid, dude. You hung over the next day, you feel like shit. Technically and scientifically, you're poisoning your body.
Yep.
So you're out celebrating by hurting yourself, literally, physically. But you do have fun. Like again, when you were telling me about liquid Demerol, I'm like, dude, I want to try that. Like, you felt like Superman? Shit, I want to feel like Superman.
But you also built your own empire, and it gets to a point where most people I know that have the success like you have. For me, I had to stay away from the drugs and alcohol. They just don't.
Do you ever
you're more structured. You have more of a routine now in life. You're a family guy. You're married. Like those nights, if they happen once a year, maybe when you're out with boys or whatever it might be, they're few and far between. You're expected at a certain point when you built, especially with what you built, to have the discipline to stay away from that. Because if you don't, you're going down. I don't care who it is. I mean, I've seen it time and again. It's not worth it.
Do you think that any agents ever get jealous of their client?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about this in my book. It's a good question, actually. I gave you a copy last time I was here, Aiming High, that I wrote in 2018. That's the other thing. They got to put their egos aside and understand, like, to me, the clients make the agents, not the other way around. Like, Magic Johnson was Magic Johnson before he met Darren Prince, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Sheen, Goggins, all of them. I'm humble enough to know that. Yeah, I have the ability to network with the best of them, put myself in circles and find leads that probably normally wouldn't have been accessible to me. But guess what? They knew to agree, okay, Darren Prince, Prince Marketing Group, you have the rights to represent me in order for me to then find those opportunities. But I'm also, like I said, I'm humble enough to know that, which I think is also why I'm so aggressive and assertive, because I always want to be proving myself on the business front.
Do you think you're judged that way?
What's that?
Are you judged that way? I mean, now that these guys are friends, you could literally cruise probably much easier. Because
Well, I'm not a guy that's complacent. It's never been me. Now I'm more about finding balance, in my life. And, they know if I'm not a guy that's all about quantity. It's about the quality. So if we bring you one good project every couple months, or every 3-4 months, it's fine because, it's gonna be a good one. And in between that time, it's shooting a text once in a while, checking in, see how they're doing.
So if you became my agent and someone said, "Hey, Brad, you want to speak over here?" Am I legally bound to like send you that lead to deal with?
I've never been one of those control guys either. It's never been my thing. I'd rather earn it. If you were like, "Hey, why don't you pitch me for opportunities when it comes up? I'll give you 15-20% for everything you find." That would be fine too. I do not need the control.
I'll do that.
I want to earn. I want to earn because that's how you create resentment. What if somebody keeps sending you lead after lead after lead, and you're not really generating anything? I mean, anybody could do that.
I think it would get old.
It gets old after a while.
Yeah, because like people will call me. I mean, I get $50,000 for a speech. Like $50,000 for what? Well, I just talk for an hour. What about whatever I want? They say.
Yep.
They say, well, what do you? I say, what do you want me to speak about? And they're like, whatever you want. And usually they'll go, just drop bombs, bro. And I'm like, okay. So I'm going out there, and it always puts me in a bad situation because, I don't prepare. I don't have PowerPoints. But they give me $50,000 is my point. So when they call me and I have someone that handles that,
yep.
and that person was to take X% every single time, whether they got the lead or not, like, dude, like if you got me the lead,
yep.
you should be at 20-30%.
Yep.
If I'm giving you the lead and you're negotiating and making sure all the legals are there so I'm not screwed later, I'll give you 10%.
Well, now here's
a little
the thing
different.
Here's the thing you get with me. So if you were to send leads, most people don't know how to upsell the lead. So I'm going to sit here like my team does when those opportunities, do happen, and say, you know what, for another 25, Brad will do a photo op session with 15 minutes. Brad will do a social media post. Brad will do a little soundbite on site and pop it up on his. That's what you got to do.
But don't you have to go check with the talent?
Well, I come back to you and I say, Brad, by the way, these two basic things that cost you no more time whatsoever, I just got you another $25,000.
Yeah.
You're not going to say no.
See, that's earning your money.
You're not going to say no.
Yeah.
But it's because I've been around it so long. So I know,
So if someone calls me for a speech and I throw it to you, I owe you 5 G's, but you might end up making it 75 G's.
Exactly.
But then I'd owe you 7,500.
Right. But then you look at it as, well, what type of percentage are we talking? If
Well,
it's
10%.
You're picking up another 20,000 and you're coughing up another 5. So
I was just saying it for people because they think scare space like that.
Yeah.
Like, then I'd owe you more. Yeah, but you'd be getting more, dumbass.
More
like,
too.
I'll do that all day long.
Yep.
I always tell people when they bitch about their percentage or their compensation they're on, because I get a lot of sales guys calling me about, how do you close and this and that. And I'll say, well, what's your pay plan? They're like, well, they give me like freaking 30%. And first of all, I think 30%, dude, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That's like you're a partner.
Yep.
So number one, 10% for an agent, I think is more than fair, especially if you're generating it.
Yep.
I'll give you 30% if you generate it.
Yeah.
Because that's found money to me.
Found money.
They wouldn't have called me. Darren was at a party and he said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Brad Lee?" And the guy goes, "No, not really. Look at this guy. Hey, you want to book him? Yeah, I'll book him $50,000. Okay, great. Hey, Brad, I found you $50,000.
Yep.
And you only want to give me, 30-40 grand of it. I'm good with that."
Yep.
So I think everyone needs an agent. You can call it an agent, but what I mean is everybody needs an
advisor, even consultant,
or a what do you call it? Like an advocate, an ambassador.
Yep.
And that's what you are for these guys too.
Yep.
So the Jerry Maguire story, okay, that was, you say, Lee Steinberg.
Yeah.
So who was his Tidwell?
You know what? I don't know who the title was. I've read it before, but I can't even think about it now. I don't even think it was like a mega star. But yeah, it was based on a real story.
And what are you doing on these Aspire stages I see you on all the time?
I just book a lot of my talent for them. You know, I do my own public speaking all over the world.
But I see your face too.
Recovery, and I don't really talk much about business. It's more like mental health and recovery. I've been offered, you know, I've been on panels, business panels and stuff like that. And I was on, what was it, the Holly Short Film Festival panel in August in LA. I don't really enjoy that stuff as much because, you know, when I got sober, my ego, you know, basically went away. And I don't like having to talk about me and the clients and the business. You know, I'm more just, you know, I'll do it because I know it's intriguing to people, and a lot may want to become an agent, try to become, you know, their own influencer or celebrity, and I understand it. But as far as my keynotes, yeah, it's always more about my personal mission in life. But Aspire's like the top business mastermind event. I know the one you were at was Limitless in Salt Lake City. That Fleischman's behind. And it's just, you know, a group of, you know, top tier celebrities, you know, I'd say business moguls that sit there on stage, do a Q&A with one of the owners of the company in front of 4,000 people, and really creates impact, and very educational for people in the audience to take whatever they're getting there and then take it out into the real world.
Yeah. So if your main mission in life is to like help people stop going down the road of, what's the opposite of sobriety? Abuse.
Yeah.
That's your mission?
That's it, man. And helping, you know, to scholarship people with, you know, they can't afford rehabilitation. You know, my Aiming High Foundation, it's just my favorite thing in the world, where I get a DM, there could be an email, it could be a, you know, a post on my page one day where somebody's like, man, I'm struggling, I just sent you a message, or the website gets an email and they can't afford treatment. And, you know, part of my God-given mission now is I'm able to call that person directly. I know we have the funding, and you're not just helping that person, you're helping the entire family. You know, it could be a father, it could be a mother, you know, so I could send them away for 30, 60 days, reprogram their life, you know, find out where this all originated from, get on the path to recovery, and you get a brand new person back in your life.
You introduce them to red light and all the things.
I'll tell people about, the basics more. A lot of those people, obviously, finances are a little bit of a struggle. So, you know, I'll recommend a handful of the other ones that are more economically affordable, or even a couple of them implemented in your system each day can even help the natural dopamine levels in the brain, the endorphins. It can just help you get a better night's sleep, so you're waking up more excited about life instead of with all that anxiety that, you know, people are going through nowadays.
So you're like the guinea pig almost.
Yeah.
You're trying all the stuff to see what works, what doesn't. I think
I've tried a lot of it, but now it's probably down to, I think it's a protocol of about 10 to 12 on a daily basis, and I've never felt better. I feel like if I miss my ice bath on any given day, like when I travel, now I got to take a cold shower in the morning because I miss going in my ice bath at home. So I make sure I do the cold shower for 3 minutes.
Do you think that's kind of, in a way, trading negative addictions for positive addictions?
It's a healthy addiction. Yeah. Here's the thing about the 12-step fellowship. If your life is unmanageable and you're powerless, that's the number one, recognizing that. None of it's creating unmanageability. None of it's creating powerlessness in my life. I love it. I feel great because of it. Other people pick up on it. I'm able to help other people that ask, hey, you look great, or, you know, what are you doing? What are you taking? I'm not taking much at all. I'm implementing this into my daily routine because I know it works.
Do you think everyone has an addiction of some kind?
Yeah, of course. When I did Jay Shetty's podcast, we talked about that. He goes, everybody has an addiction, don't you believe? And I said, absolutely.
Well, then let's find mine. How do we find mine? Because I don't feel like I'm addicted to anything. One time I did crack for 3 days straight.
I heard that one. That was great.
But you know, at the end I'm like, this ain't no good. Kick. You know, I've done all the normal. When I say normal drugs,
do we take the cell phone off the list? Because that's a common one.
I'm not addicted to it, but I would say that's a close one. That's a close one.
Downtime.
No, but that's a close one because again, I am not addicted to it, but I think I'm leaning towards addiction. Would there be anything I should do to prevent the addiction? Because right now, when you said that, I'm like, yeah, technically, addicted to Call of Duty, anxiety. But I'm not, because after I, got good at Call of Duty and it got boring and I'm like, okay, enough Call of Duty. But I was addicted to Call of Duty. I was addicted to building an Instagram following. But, now that I have one, now it's just a habit. And again, there's nothing negative about it. I don't listen to the hate, to me, I would say to every business person on planet Earth and person, whether you're in business or not, you definitely want to get known and famous, period. Mm-hmm. Why? Because for some reason, the more followers I get, the more opportunities I get.
Of course.
But
I don't look at that as an addiction. I think that's a healthy, smart businessman that understands, the more engagement, the more money, the more likes, the more followers, more opportunities.
So again, when you're a Magic Johnson and you gained your fame through a sport, and you're on TV and you're part of a team that everybody loves, you skyrocket up to the top. But there's people, I would argue you're one of them because you get notoriety from being around them anyway. Yep. But again, you're kind of getting your own brand and celebrity of your own.
Yep.
Where like if you walked into a room with Magic Johnson's, not everyone's going, oh, it's Darren Prince because you're with Magic Johnson. But if you walk onto an Aspire tour and you speak and they're like, oh, that's Darren, or that's Magic.
I get it a lot more than I like now. I don't want to say I'm uncomfortable with it, but people that have either seen some of my interviews, read my book, they're impacted by my recovery journey. They talk about clients of mine. I never became an agent to become famous. I've never wanted that. I see what they have to deal with, and there's honestly such a relief. I've even joked with Charlie Sheen about this sometimes, where we're going to an event and we come back and he gets in the car service and I go back to my place, and I've had that with Hulk a million times where, God, I feel like I step back out of that realm of having to deal with the bodyguards and the security and the car services and the back entrance here. I'm like, look, I'm good with the money part of it if I was them, but I do not want that notoriety part of it because you have to be on every single day. You have a bad day the minute you leave that house and have a bad experience or an interaction with the fan, paparazzi, media. It's everywhere.
Let alone stalkers.
Yep. Yep.
Which one of your clients have the worst stalkers?
I'm trying to think. Has it really even happened in a while? There was one about Charlie 4 or 5 months ago. His neighbor he had a big issue with. That was all over the internet. But thank God.
How's Charlie doing? How's Charlie doing?
Amazing.
I don't see much of him anymore.
I think he's coming up on 7 or 8 years sober.
But is he canceled?
No.
I don't see him on any TV shows.
He was on the show. What was it? My Bookie on HBO with Sebastian Maniscalco. He's got a film project in the work, a book.
Oh, I saw that. That's a good show.
Yeah,
where he's over playing poker or something.
Yeah.
But dude, Charlie is classic.
Yep.
He's always going to end up classic, even though the shit he went through and the shit he did.
Yep.
Nobody cares. At the end of the day, it's Charlie Sheen.
You know what? I tell him he brought the gift of laughter to the world and keeps bringing it in those reruns, and that's a special gift to give a lot of people that need it.
Yeah. So how come you don't have a podcast?
You asked me that last time. You said the same thing to me. I don't do it.
Well, because he's friends with him and he gets these guests and he'll just skyrocket because he can get the right guests, and then that opens the door for all the other guests that want on.
Do you know how many DMs I got about that last time? Because dozens of people you need a podcast, DP. Darren, you need a podcast. Speak to Brad about the podcast.
How do you claim that your mission is to save people?
Ago that only because it was mission based. I just only have so much capacity.
Yeah, but Darren,
Brad, we're partners in a We have a private equity group. It's called the Legacy Fund with Dominique Wilkins, Kevin Harrington, the Shark Tank judge. And we have our group Cypress out of San Diego. And the reason he got me involved was because it's got a mission of financial literacy. If you look at NIL athletes and what's going on, that's a whole nother generational problem. Getting millions of dollars in college, parents having no idea about
What's your
taxes.
thought about it?
You know, blowing all the money, and guess what? They're not going to make it to the pros. So that took a little bit, but he convinced me to get involved in it because
But are you?
I like that mission. Like, but you never thought about that, right? Think about these college
No.
kids. They can legally now make millions
Well,
of
I
dollars.
like that though.
You know?
It's fair if you ask me.
It's fair, but what
They
happens,
should be paid.
But what happens when they don't have enough literacy on finances, and them and their family have nothing, blow through the money, or don't plan for the future, don't pay taxes? That their lives are, they got a problem if they don't make it to the pros.
Yeah, but I just make the assumption, hey, that's their business. That's their business. Like if they blow it, oh shit, what an idiot. But
being in the world of athletes, I wanted to kind of try to make an impact and do something about it.
Well, dude, again, that's why you're close to all your people because you care.
Thought,
you care.
Know, he's been a legend, finance guy for 40 years. He's a dear friend of mine. So at some point you got to have him on. He's a former professional fighter.
Ammo.
And
is that a nickname?
That one I agreed to do because there was a mission component to it, and I want to make sure people go down the path of financial ruin.
Well, you believe in the Creator.
Yeah, God.
Yeah. Well, again, that's his title. Do you know his name, by the way?
What my God is, or what you refer to him?
Yours.
I just refer to him as God. I don't have.
He doesn't have a name. Is it the same God as most of us have?
I believe so. I believe so.
Well,
and
then
he
its
talks through
name,
me.
I'll tell you, is Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Yeah, some people will say Yahweh.
Interesting.
Yahuwah. Now, again, there's arguments all around that, but if you search and you seek and you find and you go and you see, you'll realize, and will be backed up with evidence, his name was Yahuwah, or YHWH. Some people think it's your breath, which is crazy because he started everything with the breath and the words. Yeah. But anyway, the Creator, Yahuwah, do you believe in him?
Yahuwah. I guess that's who I believe in then.
Okay, good. Then do you think that maybe a podcast would help your mission given to you by him?
I mean, what's like...
Are you really going... I'm tired, brother. I'm tired. I don't really want to do that one.
What's the amount of time that's needed?
An hour.
Well, no, I got to bang out a couple episodes.
You don't have to do shit. What you have to do is hit record, talk with someone or by yourself, vent, and your mission will be amplified. I would say it's almost blasphemous to not start a Darren Prince podcast. And whether you ever have your clients on or not is irrelevant.
It's a venture we can get involved in because it would help. It'll help both sides.
That's why I'm doing it right now.
Yep.
I'm going on the guilt side.
It would help both sides. I can get the talent, and you can kind of have somebody on your team manage it for me and my schedule most of the time.
I don't have anyone that'll manage it for you. I can't even get them to manage mine. If you find them, let me know. I need some too. But I would start a podcast if I were you. And again, it had nothing to do with my clients. Yeah. Would I leverage them if I was that good of friends with them? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I would have no problem if I was buddies with Magic. Hey, dude, get on my show, bro. I need the help. Yeah. I got to get it out there. Yeah. Then you get some of those clips, and then everybody comes for the show that they've been listening to you for years, and he was only on there once.
Yeah.
Like if I could get Brad Pitt, let's go. Yeah. I get Danny DeVito, like let's go. Like Quentin Tarantino, let's go. Why? Because dude, that'll bring them. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the Tate brothers.
Yeah.
Andrew Tate.
Yep.
Tristan Tate. Yep. How well do you think they understand attention?
I mean, I think they've done a great job at it.
How come you don't like reach out and say, I will represent your ass?
I think it's, they're more like, they're famous, but not in a genre that I think works for Prince Marketing Group. I respect everything that they've done, what they built, and how they monetized it. And I do really like the fact that women that couldn't stand him 3 years ago are starting to come around to understanding he was right on a lot of stuff, and his brother, both of them. But it's just, well, first off, I don't even think they can come to America.
Why can't
so
they?
that makes it difficult. Is there an issue with like?
Well, maybe right this second, but eventually they're going to be free to travel the world.
You know.
And when they are, I guarantee you, dude, like if I were going to put on an event, like if I was Fleischman and I was trying to pack some seats,
they would be incredible on stage.
Dude, I guarantee you, dude, if they had I know Andrew now, and I'm going to like do my best.
Yeah.
When he comes over, he's doing the podcast. He emailed me first a long time ago before he was big. And he said, "Hey, I love the show. I'll come on and we'll break the podcast." And I said, "Yeah, talk to Maria."
Yeah.
Not knowing who he was, like a dumbass. And then after he got more and more famous, I look back and I'm like, "Is that guy?" And
the same guy.
Yeah, it's Andrew. So anyway, someone else reintroduced us recently on a couple of reasons, and so now I can talk to him if I want. So I'm going to try to get his ass here. He still says he's coming on the show, but he wants to do it here.
Okay.
And so I'll get him here, but I want to book him. I want to be his agent only because, dude, that's an easy sell for a while anyway.
They could do their own standalone event. You don't need other celebrities or people on the dais. They would pack the house. They're filled with wisdom. I mean, like I said, I loved them from the very beginning, and I knew, both of them that, I was a big fan, a big believer. Obviously been through a ton of relationships myself. My last girlfriend is 27. I'm 55. She was 23 when I was 50. I saw the impact on the social media culture. I had another girlfriend in her mid-20s, and I was like, wow, this generation is so freaking, like, they're gone. They just, and so, through my meditation and my own healing, I've realized, I got to stop trying to find the broken beauties to save and maybe just go up a little bit in age, because
have you found any?
There's nothing I could do with that young culture mentality where everything is about social media, instant gratification, the likes, the comments, and the way they don't respect themselves, these women. That women respected themselves, I think, when guys like us were growing up. It was different.
So are you married?
Body count wasn't a word when you and I were growing up.
No, it wasn't.
Right?
No, it wasn't.
And to me, there is always a difference.
The term slut was.
Yeah. But I still think as men, we have to earn our status. So as we get older, we have to grind it and we have to earn our place in society to then hopefully be able to select and pick a woman of quality. I've never, woman at a super young age can live life any way that they want to be with anybody that they want. So I
if
think
they're hot?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's why I say, women are at the advantage when they were claiming they're at the disadvantage. I'm like, dude, you're a female. You got an advantage. Trust me.
But a lot of the young ones have to catch themselves before it's too late, because if you're living that way and all of a sudden you're 28, 29, 30, guess what? There's a whole new younger generation of women, and you're kind of now dealing with all that baggage and the trauma from being so free-spirited and not taking advantage of possibly a really good man or two in your life because you were part of that whole movement and not prioritizing who you were versus having a good time.
Yeah, how do you reconcile that?
That's tough. You almost have to find a man that lived the same way.
See, people are going to say, see, you just said that we have to find a man. We don't need men. We don't need men.
Do you deal with that?
What are you talking about? You literally need men.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Do you deal with that when you get a woman on the podcast every once in a while?
If they're feminists, I do.
Too much about
and again, I'm getting to be known as somewhat of a, like, I get a lot of women reaching out that are like,
you're stirring the pot a little too much.
Do you have a brother? No, they're dude, there's so many women that want masculinity.
Oh, okay.
It's unbelievable. Everyone thinks there's just a bunch of feminists and all women think this. First of all women don't think alike, just like all men don't think alike. Number two, there's a lot of women that they want a masculine leader man. And again, there's not many to choose from anymore because they've bred that out of us.
Of course.
And so I get DMs from a lot of women that say stuff like that. Like, oh my God, you got a brother. How come I can't find a man who thinks like this? Well, you can.
Yep.
They're all over the place.
Yep.
Like you can't be what you're describing. You can't be that and think you're going to attract one.
Exactly.
Because a real dude, it ain't about that.
No, because
like someone said about body count, you brought it up.
that's never a word.
Well, I know, but like slut was.
Yep.
And whore was.
Yep.
And if you knew a slut and everyone called her a slut, that meant body count. We just didn't call it that. But to me, someone brought it up the other day. What do I think about body count and is it important and yada, yada, yada. In what way? But because I take everything literal, you know, and I'm also fair as it gets. So it counts at the end of the day. Why? Because I don't want a slut.
Yeah.
I don't want someone. Well, how can women be slut and men aren't sluts? Well, again, I didn't make the rules, but men who have a lot of women are cool and you know, kings. But do I believe that? No, I think they're rolling the dice too much. Like, dude, I could go out, I could get divorced right now, go out and get women.
Yep.
But dude, every time you're having sex with one, people say, wear a condom. And I say, dude, if you knew that girl had AIDS, would you wear a condom and do it anyway? And they go, hell no. Then quit acting like a condom is your key, because that's a stupid thing to think.
It's the number act one in itself that you have to figure out what's wrong with you. Well,
not only that, with me, a lot of times they break.
Yeah,
because you know they're tight to begin with.
I'm saying as far as the selection process too of like a man or somebody that's living that life, like. It's fun for a little bit, but eventually, like, you want to try to get a life partner in your life.
You want to connect,
you know?
So if I'm talking to a female and I find out she's boned every one of my friends, does it matter? Yes, it matters. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, what's up, Darren? Knowing full well you were just freaking railing Betty freaking 2 years ago.
And I have to bring one to an event or a Laker game or something, and all of a sudden find that 3 guys there. No, I mean, that's what these girls aren't understanding. You know?
And that's just the truth. And then people get upset. So when Andrew and Tristan say basically the same thing, except for a little more abruptly.
Yep.
And everybody goes crazy and thinks they're, you know, animals. It's like, wait a minute, like listen to what they're saying, not how they're saying it. I think that's important. So again, to me, guys, or not guys, ladies, like calm down. Like you definitely have the advantage. You do not have to give it away. I've literally had girls say to me, if I don't though, they'll leave. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Like if someone's not willing to wait and they don't care about you enough to just wait.
That's it until you're ready.
Well, they'll leave. Well, then they're not the one.
They're not the right guy.
They're not the one.
Nope.
So how do you, I mean, your clients have kids, they have, you know, their social media. Like how do you navigate all that? And what happens if any of them were snared in the Diddy drama? Like, what do you do as an agent?
Again, thank God I don't think any of them, so it's not something I had to think about. We're part of any of his events or parties, but that's a problem, you know, especially with social media culture nowadays, celebrity kids not being.
Let's just say you were Diddy's agent.
Yeah.
Would you be like, I'm not Diddy's agent anymore?
Yeah, there's no way I can.
Because you would think that
The two things I can't really be associated with is that. You know, any sort of like sexual assault, racism. Those are just things that, I just, it's hard.
So if one of your clients, God forbid, got wrapped up, even falsely, like, does your job get 10 times harder?
I mean, if it's falsely, yeah, because obviously you have to be there for them and you have to do what's known as damage control. So you don't turn your back on them. At a time like that, you do whatever you can to navigate strategically. I've gotten a Harvard education in PR as well. I'm not a publicist, obviously, but seeing the way things work. So, you know, you just have to strategize and find ways to, you know, kind of come out of it without making yourself too accessible to the media. You can utilize different spokespeople, a publicist, a lawyer, an agent, to kind of slowly, strategically place comments and quotes out there, little nuggets of proof to slowly but surely win back the court of public opinion. But there's times where, the celebrity sometimes has to stay behind the scenes if the heat is too much at a time like that.
Okay, last question for people watching, listening. They own businesses. They got a little bit of a social media brand, like me, let's say, for example. What would you have me do to grow that? And do you have any secrets of the celebrities? Because, when they say, they call the paparazzi on myself, they do that shit.
Yeah.
Celebrities will call paparazzi and say, I'm going to be here. So there's a frenzy of paparazzi and it makes them relevant. Yep. But those are like little strategies most people don't know. Give me like 3 strategies for someone trying to build a brand and get celebrity, what they should be thinking and what they should be doing in order to hopefully maybe kick it off.
I would try to get yourself in rooms or events that have celebrities in them. I got another one for you. I would DM people like Bradley and try to get on without sponsoring because...
No, don't tell them that.
Well, they might not have the 25K.
Well, you can't sponsor.
If you got the financial resources, to me, it's a gold mine for the person because your content, when you cut these things up, is incredible. It's like award-winning. So now that gets repurposed.
See, my team's going to love hearing that.
Now that gets repurposed again and again, those clips on their website, on their social media, when they're trying to deal with, other branding.
But only if the sound bite's there.
Yeah.
See, that's what people don't understand. The team, they have something to work with. They can make some viral clips. Their work's incredible. Yep. But if you don't give them the content or the words or the sentence or the clip that you naturally gave, they wouldn't be able to do that.
No, they wouldn't be
able to. The person matters, if you ask me. Because when people ask me, I always say, dude, it needs to start with you, not all the little techniques. Because like if you don't have any experience, but you want to pretend you do, I would recommend don't try to build a brand on a falsehood.
No.
Like go get the experience.
Yep.
Go win, go do your thing. And then I guarantee you building the brand is easy once you're legitimate.
Yep.
Once you're authentic.
That led me to my third part is I was going to say as often as you can, hold your phone up, shoot videos, talk about life, talk about challenges, be real, be authentic, because authenticity and realness is a superpower. And you'll organically attract, following and the right people.
Where do you put that video?
Where do you put it?
Yeah.
I'd say, post it on your story, post it on your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, whatever it is that you have, even LinkedIn. I mean,
folks, it's Bradley. I've been having challenges, but getting this dude in here isn't one of them. Darren Prince. Go follow him. See, now that's an example of how easy that is. So many people are so worried about what do I say? And what if people think, who gives a shit?
Yep.
Definitely. That's a good one. That deserved a bomb. Most people won't pull out their phone and take a picture.
4 or 5 bombs.
And good, Brad, this time. Darren, where do people follow you?
Instagram is @agent_DP. Darren Prince on LinkedIn. Darren Prince, I'm still on Facebook. PrinceMarketingGroup.com is my my website. And then what else do I have? I'd say, the brain.one that I was talking about mental fitness health is super important to me. So anything I talked about, just DM me on Instagram. I'm happy to reach out myself. It's not somebody managing my page. If a phone call's needed, my assistants will set it up because I just truly want to make sure people have the ability to live the best life that they can live.
And normally I'll ask people, what can the Bomb Squad do for you?
Bomb Squad do for me?
Yeah, like if everybody listening could do something for you, not like just live a great life if you can, but just like for Darren Prince, I think you do enough for people. What can people do for you?
I just think it's not really even for me. Just be kinder to everybody else.
That's a good one. See, now some people,
a better place.
But some people might be like, "Oh, come on, dude." Come on.
All the real ones that I know that are crushing it in life, you know, we stay away from drama, and we're of service, and we're kind to others.
Hey, you know what? And I 100% subscribe to that. And I try to tell people, because a lot of people are so angry about successful people, like, you know, overall financially seemingly successful.
Yep.
And all the ones, not all the ones, but most of the ones that I know, they're that way because they're that way.
Yep.
They're not nice because they're rich. I think they're rich because they're nice. And then some people say, well, I know nice people, they're not rich. Are they though?
Yep.
Just because they're saying nice things doesn't make people nice.
Exactly.
I think it's inside where you can't hear, you can't see. That's where you got to be nice.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Well, dude, I appreciate you coming in again.
Thanks for having me in again.
You're
man.
welcome back anytime you roll through V-Town.
Cool. Thank you.
Folks, go follow this dude. Until next time, keep it real.